Hello, John.
Hi, Jason.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great.
This is an interview long coming for me. I've probably been a fan of Wilco for more years than you would probably admit to being in the band.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for listening all those years.
Yes, but it's all been good. That's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't go as well. I'm sure you would like to be in commercial terms, as successful as any band could possibly be. But I think that's one of the things I've always loved about Wilco is the fact that you've always somehow just managed to not have that happen to you.
Yeah, I think it's really there's you get kind of somewhat, you just somehow get tainted, especially in the U.S. It's really true. I think we were just lucky never to have that kind of. I mean, some bands kind of had an early hit, like Radiohead, and were able to do a lot of things with it, with the sort of resources they got from it, but we've been able to just kind of putt along and just make it, somehow. So
America does that, doesn't it? In the way, I mean, if I look at someone like Dave Matthews, not comparing you at all, but just from the point of view that if you have a good enough base and you're willing to spend a lot of time with your fans on the road, you could pretty much do this for as long as you as long as you'd like to, I suppose.
I hope so. Yeah, we did come along at a time that was still we still had sort of we had a major label affiliation, but with a sort of it might as well have been 1969 because it was like Mel Austin and all the same people at Reprise, and we were able to just get a touring base, with a little help from the majors, and then kind of just carry it on. And once you have an audience, it's like it's definitely that's bigger than having a major label deal or something.
Yeah, true. And I mean, as you've seen, part of your success hasn't come from that major label participation, but more from the fact that technology's been there and your fans have been there, and that your biggest strength has been probably word of mouth, that your fan base has celebrated you everywhere.
It's lucky, it really is, and a lot of road work, I guess, as well.
Yeah, you're clearly not afraid to work hard.
True, I guess.
What is it like being in Wilco in 2007, having been through, and having experienced what you have in the way that you have? I mean, obviously there's 1,000 stories.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually it's sort of, I mean, even with all the tumult or whatever that's gone on, it's I always felt like I kind of felt even 7 years ago that I probably had a really lucky sort of time in the music biz, and I think that's, if anything, now, whatever, 12 years later, it's like sort of to be still making records that people enjoy, or that matter with these people. I mean, it's been wonderful. It's like definitely the best musical relationship and the best sort of personal relationships I think we've had, like, across the band that we've ever had. So so you just feel it feels like a lot of the crap was kind of worth it to go through.
But you see, the problem with a band like yours is that every record you bring out, you keep on topping yourselves. So
I hope so.
Yeah, and the media comes along, and obviously they label, and Jeff will get quoted, as saying that this is the best record that that you've made, and it just keeps on getting, it just.
Oh, we hope, because I mean, it's like a lot of people think that it's kind of lip service, but that your most recent record kind of better be your favorite record, or else you're kind of in trouble. But it hasn't always been that for me. In other bands, so it's a bad feeling knowing that it's like, well, we'll do better next time. But there is an element of trying to correct previous wrongs with what you thought was maybe incomplete about a previous record with the record, and I think that helps naturally change the course of direction.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose from the point of view that there will always be that element that you'll keep on making records indefinitely, because you'll never quite be happy with. There'll always be something that you would want to do differently.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like this sort of, I think the bigger your career gets, the sort of, you can't help, there is a little bit of a self-reactionary sort of, you have these a little in your head, these sort of, you try not to repeat yourself, and you just wonder how that informs the music, if you can, so that's a little bit of a struggle, when you're knowingly sort of trying to make things different. And this is what was kind of cool about this record, was that there was such an organic, it was just basically, it was the closest thing to sort of like a session sort of record that we had since maybe the first record, first or second record, that it still held a real sort of difference, this real change and reflection in the new band, that so it was like, well, this is different from Ghost is Born, this is different from anything we've done.
Because that must be difficult, though, isn't it? I mean, not to try and keep it fresh or to come up with new ideas, but there's I suppose there are only so many ways that that you can sound.
Yeah, in a traditional, I guess, really in a traditional sort of, two guitars, whatever lineup. I think so. But then again, this is, in a way, we haven't done. I mean, this was one of the quicker Wilco records, and I guess previous interview I talked about, just wondering what this is going to be in another 2 years or something, and I'm encouraged. I mean, I hope the sky's the limit on it, and if we get down to a day-to-day sort of work schedule that we did with Yankee Hotel and Ghost is Born, I can imagine some wonderful results.
Is it still sort of so much? I mean, I'm sure it is a whole lot of fun, but don't you feel a little corporate in the sense that you are such a success that in the sense that you're not indie kids really anymore, although you get to play indie kids.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to say that I think at least I feel pretty graduated from that whole, from that world. And,
thankfully.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because the kids are so young, I just can't help being. I mean, I'm sure we're a bit of a dinosaur to a lot of these people. And I mean, the pitchfork still, they're still nice to us, which is great. But it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of involuntarily not in that world. For sure. I think it would be sad if I were in the world, frankly. And just, I'm definitely in a middle-aged sort of rock world.
And happy to be there. Yeah.
Right.
Now, talking about this, the new record, obviously, it's clearly not just what you're saying, but people that have heard it. I've had the album for about 3 weeks now, 3-4 weeks, and I concur, I think, with everyone that it's a great progression, obviously, from the last record, but in so many ways it harps back to maybe a simpler time, and when maybe you were less aware, or you seemed less aware, or you didn't need to prove any points. It was really just about getting into a studio and having these songs just come out.
Yeah, I do. I think there's just so much. We were so self-aware after Yankee Hotel Foxtrot going into Ghost is Born, and that was the first time that I ever felt like I felt that I was in a weird place from an objective standpoint. I was self-aware of kind of what we were doing, and I think the record. It might reflect that a little bit. I couldn't help knowing after Yankee Hotel that there would be this sort of element of disappointment, or a lot of people, it would be a letdown in it, and there was a sort of there was an element of like kind of flying in the face of it, but there wasn't a lot of unity with that record in a lot of ways, the way there was with this. So I think we were just happy to try with the new band. sort of realized we had this sort of higher musical connection than any lineup had before around the time of the live record and everything. The fact that we wanted to document that band, you know, on a live record. So I think it was just really the feeling of like kind of getting back to basics and just sort of an unself-conscious record, you know.
And you can't, and it's clear that you can't cheat in any way, because you know it's, you know, rightly or wrongly, the music has always been, and certainly from my point of view, very honest. So when it's anything but that, you know, you can't but make honest records. And if you're having a bad time, or if you're feeling pressure, or if things aren't particularly, you know, good for you, or you're not in a good space, it reflects in the music.
It does, and I think there's good. You know, there's enough people in the band that can really detect the bullshit or not. You know, I mean, enough people, and Nels especially, and I mean, just, you know, you know. So it's yeah. I mean, it was just, it just feels like a really honest, in a way, unadorned. You know, it was, and I think it was a reflection also just of a really good work ethic. And something that just, it unfolded really fast and happened really fast, and I love pursuing that. I think that has been the culmination of most, like 95% of the great music of the world has been organic, has flowed out.
Were you surprised at how easily or how quickly it did come?
Not really, because I knew even from the first sort of rehearsals that we had with the new lineup, there was a certain Nels and Pat kind of brought a really definitely a more sophistication, I'd say, in different ways, you know. But they're very very proficient, and so there was that sort of there was that kind of new element at that, even at that point, rehearsing for Ghost is Born tour, and so I knew that I couldn't wait to get in the studio. I knew it was going to be fun.
And I mean, it's at this point, it would be your favorite record because it's the one you've played the least live.
Exactly. Funny how that works.
Yes. There's only so many times you can do that before
log it into the ground. Completely. It's true.
But is that a side of things that you do enjoy still doing? You know, going out there and you know, playing it to as many people as possible, and you know, then.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to get excited about playing in front of 4,000 people. I have to say, you know, whether it's you playing bass and singing background vocals, or any singing on the stage, or you know. So I have a family now, which is different from the last record, and so it absolutely makes it a lot harder. But it's just a sort of it's a reality of the situation. We still sort of rely on that to you know, sort of the bread and butter.
Sure.
We're making royalties now and everything.
Sure.
But it's still how we make a living.
Sure. And I mean, thankfully, I suppose in some ways it's something that you haven't outgrown, in the sense that you don't detest that part of it. I mean, as you say, there's nothing better than standing in front of a stage and getting that immediacy that you don't get when you look at the CD packaging and go, oh, we did that.
It's true.
And
there's so, you know, so many people think, well, it's really the schlep work, and the real immortality is really the album and everything, and then, you know, but, you know, the life of I mean, it's absolutely one thing has to feed the other. You know, I think it's absolutely integral, and it's still the way to sell records, basically.
Sure. And it's the success of the band, I think, in many ways, that you know, that you are willing to do that, because you could arguably, like you're saying, you know, the royalties are one thing, and as the catalogue gets bigger and bigger, you know, that arguably too, depending on what you're looking for out of life, I suppose, is less and less dire necessity to do it, but it's still something that the band you know, sees as being critical to, you know, your longevity, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just have to do it. You know? Yeah. I mean, we have a big organization at this point, and you know, it's not for that reason, but you know, it all works. You know.
And if anything, the fact that you have that organization tells tells us again on another level that what you're doing is good. So
yeah, I guess so. Or at least some people are out there, I guess.
Sure. I mean, whoever thought that you would employ people?
Exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think last year we got to the point for the first time where we had people that we didn't know the names of. We didn't know the names of certain people on the crew, and I was like, wow, now we've got to a level like where you guys, I don't even know their names.
Yeah. We don't know who they are, but they just arrive and they do stuff and they leave.
That's right. The real faceless. That's where the evil comes in.
No, it's fantastic. No. But I think it's a great place to be. That that you clearly, as a band, between Jeff and obviously yourself and the rest of the guys, you're very aware of the place that you occupy, and I think that would be that is your saving grace on so many levels. That you have to take it with a pinch of salt, and you have to respect it in the same breath, because as quickly as not as quickly as it came, but the space that you occupy can fall away.
It's really, if you really look at it, the rock and roll, business, it's just like this entertainment is just so, it's meaningful and meaningless at the same time. It's very...
Well, I'm one of those people, and I know there are hundreds of thousands of people like me that are grateful that you are still doing it, and that you are doing it as well as you are, and thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly for taking the time today. And as I say, South Africa is far enough away for you to have to think about it, but it's a good place to bring your family for a bit.
It's lovely. My wife was just talking about it, and we actually have a flat downstairs that we rent, and we have a South African girl living there.
Oh, fantastic! She can tell you all about it.
She's lovely. It's funny. Your accent is very. I love the different accents there. Hers is a lot more. I guess it's a lot more. It's like Dutch and Australian put together.
Afrikaans. Yeah,
Afrikaans.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you sound more English, I guess.
Yes, more English.
What is that? Does that have a name? The sort of.
No, it doesn't.
It's just English language.
Yeah, Afrikaans is a language.
Primary.
Yes, I grew up English. My parents came from England, and
right on.
And my wife, who is Afrikaans, it sounds very similar to Dutch, but it is a completely different language. And those are your two main languages that you learn at school, is English and Afrikaans. And then.
Oh wow! So you learn both.
Yes, I can speak both. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But John, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time, and thanks for the questions.
And thank you for a great record, and good luck with it all. Not that you need it, I just think you need to rest up. And
we need it. Thank you.
And thank you so much for your time again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.